Hey, this is Matt Fay, and this is the 9 Questions Podcast.
Welcome to the 9 Questions Podcast, the podcast where we get to know someone through 9 questions. Today I'm here with Matt Fay. So Matt, nice to meet you. How you doing?
Nice to meet you. I'm doing good.
So I've actually just met Matt today for this podcast. I don't know him at all, but we're going to get to know him through these questions. He was referred to me by a good friend of ours, producer Chris, and so let's get into it. Let's get into it. So question number 1, we start off with everyone. Matt, where did it all begin?
Well, I'd say it's kind of a tough question. I'd say it all began when I was about, I'd say around 6 years old. You know, once I finally started getting a grasp of, what I wanted to be. I had a lot of role models growing up in my life. My grandpa, he served in the military. My uncle served in the military. I have a long lineage of people who served in the military and have stepped up for the country. And growing up as a kid around in that environment, you start looking at these guys and you're like, wow, what they've done is, it's truly something great. And it's something I looked up to, and it's just the type of environment I grew up in. And then I started, even at 6 years old, I started looking into history, and I started looking at just looking back and seeing what all of these people have done. And these are major accomplishments. The guys from World War II and fighting for our freedom. It's a very palpable thing, and even at 6 years old, I've started feeling an obligation. I felt like it was.
You felt an obligation at 6? You felt this? Okay, so Matt, are you from Las Vegas?
I am. I was born here, but I was raised in a small town out in Wapa Valley.
Okay, what's the name of that city? Is it like a city or?
It's a town. It's called Overton,
okay.
Nevada.
Okay, and so in Overton, how long were you there for?
Let's see. I moved out there when I was 1, so I don't really remember Vegas too much growing up there. And then I was there up until literally last year.
Okay, so you just moved back to the city. Mm-hmm. So you've been so you're an Overton guy. Mm-hmm. And so, is there like a lot of military guys in Overton, or?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, there's a few, but it's not like a military town, you could say, where everyone served or whatever. It's just
okay.
It's just very much, it's still that small town, country vibe, but it's definitely not like recruiters come out there all the time, and everyone has that culture. It's just my family was, we had a lot of people that served.
So this tug that you've been feeling since you were 6. Mm-hmm. Is to join the service, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you're going to be going to the Army?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Thank you for your future service.
Thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
So, you grew up in Overton. Parents, do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a sister, older sister.
Okay, so one sister. What's the age gap there?
9 years.
That's pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty big. Yeah, that's a pretty big age gap.
Mm-hmm.
So you have one sister, she's 9 years older. So from 6, if people are telling you are this obligation.
It's just growing up as a kid, it's just it just seemed like that's what I was meant to do, I guess you could say. Like, I felt like it was a calling almost. Like, I've never saw myself doing anything else. Like most kids, they want to be doctors, lawyers,
policeman,
firefighter, and then on career day, it was definitely like an ingrained moment in my mind, because on career day, you have like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like the teachers always ask you that, and they bring in their parents and everything like that, and I had a very different view. They finally got to me around the room. You hear astronaut, firefighter, all the usual stuff. Mm-hmm. And I said, I want to be a soldier. And everyone looked at me like I was crazy. And it's like, it's just, I never really saw myself doing anything else.
So when you said you wanted to be a soldier, like as a youngster, you said you felt like they looked at you like that was an odd. I feel like soldiers like a regular one for kids. I feel like kids like they have Army Men or they see like G.I. Joe or something like that. And they're like, yeah, I want to be a soldier like those guys. And like when you watch movies, they're like cool too. But like, but you were like serious here. You said it. You were for real. And they had to like figure it out from there.
Yeah, it was definitely in my class. There wasn't very many people who wanted to be soldiers. I mean,
Right.
It was just. I think it was just that during that my generation, they just didn't really see that as like a cool job or a job that is very popular.
Right.
And now with I just feel like it's not really like a popular thing to do or like a thing that's like, oh, that's like the best thing to do. I feel like I feel like a lot of people nowadays kind of like, I don't know, value it less or feel like it's throwing your life away. I've heard that a few times from some people, why do you want to throw your life away?
Really?
Things like that.
That sucks. No, I appreciate the military. I know that they're important. I feel like they're important. I feel like most people do value the military. Currently in our current climate, as I'm sure you know, the police force is looked at a certain way. But I feel like the soldiers have always been looked at, not always throughout history, but at least during my lifetime, as somewhat like people that we can look up to. Not necessarily that all of us want to do it, but something that we could definitely look up to, which is why I do think whenever I see military people, I thank them for their service because I know that it's not something I want to do, but I know that it's necessary and important because you have to have people ready to go. And like, I mean, you're willing to put your lives on the line for people you don't even know, you know what I'm saying? So I do appreciate that. So then that's going to lead me to my second question of the 9 questions. When did you become Matt Fay? You think 6? Was it 6 is when you became?
I don't.
The beginning.
I'd say that's when
it started.
It started.
Okay.
Like when I started my
internal journey.
Internal journey, I guess you could say yes. I'd say I haven't really became that person yet, but I'm well on my way.
Right.
I feel like joining the military. Besides, younger, it was like, yes, that's what I'm meant to do, and that's still how I feel today. But now it's like, it's an outlet to find out who I am as a person.
So, did you get recruited? Did you like go and find them? Because you're 18 now.
Correct.
Was it like last year when you started like looking into it, or?
I really started pursuing it when I was 17.
Okay.
So I started really getting serious about recruiting and getting enlisted in January of this year.
Okay.
Because I was not old enough. And eventually, once I was old enough and the people for the ASVAB, the military test, came out, I took the opportunity to take the test. And once I got my scores, I started sending it off to recruiters to get them to, I guess, start the process. And then that's when, I started getting into contact with recruiters. And I originally was not going to go into the Army. I was going to go into the Marine Corps.
Okay.
But there was, it just wasn't, when I started the process, it just didn't feel right for me. And I tried, looking at the Navy, and then I was like, let me try the Army and see where it's at before I make my decision if I want to go Marine Corps. And I just found it I felt it was more right for me than Marine Corps.
Okay. What? So you are just fresh out of high school right now. How did your friends take the fact that you were always meant to be a soldier?
I guess they never really thought it was much of like a huge thing. More people started wanting to go in the military once they came into high school because of educational benefits. I was never one for the educational benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good. I will say that they're good.
Schooling is not.
That's not what I was looking for. It's just I was looking for a way to make an impact. A way to make a difference, a way to serve my country. I value that way more than the benefits, the bonuses. I could care less. I would do it for free, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I really would. I mean, they could have just slapped on just saying 5-year commitment, nothing else. I would still do it.
That's you're the soldiers we need. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You're the ones that we need. The ones that are here just to go and do and protect the country. So that's dope. That's cool. Did you do sports in school?
I did. I did football. I started playing football in 8th grade.
Okay.
And I did track and field and baseball.
Okay.
And that's pretty much all the sports I played. And then I weightlifted all throughout high school.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then you go through school, you graduate, you get done with that, and then you just start getting ready to get shipped off. That's just next, right? That will just.
And what was crazy was the whole finding myself thing that I had a really, I guess you could say, it was kind of a down time in my life when I was going through middle school.
Okay.
It was just like I was really out of shape at that point, and
But you're like 11, man. Like, what kind of shape do you need to be in at 11?
It was just I wanted to play sports, and I was definitely not in the shape to play sports. I was more of an indoors kid because that's more of the climate nowadays. Play video games, sit on your butt, watch TV. And I finally decided I wanted to play football because that's what all my friends were doing. Right? It's just it was a football town. You did football, and that was the thing.
Okay.
And when I got to 8th grade, I finally decided that's what that's like, okay, I need to do this, right? This is what I want to do. And I lost, weight. I got in better running shape, and I signed up for the team, and they put me through like a little hell week to see what I was capable of, even at 8th grade,
You're doing hell weeks at 8th grade?
Yes.
Okay.
And I pushed myself past my physical limit, and at that point it wasn't very high, and I made it.
Okay.
And I got on the team. I never played sports a day in my life, and now all of a sudden
that was the first time in middle school.
First time, and I'm playing with these guys that have been playing since tackle football since like 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And halfway through the year, I start picking up pretty quick. My coaches are pushing me through, and I'm starting to get in way better shape. And in a mental aspect, I'm in a better place because I feel like, hey, I can do this. Before, I was like, man, I can't do this. These guys have been playing for years, and I'm out of shape, and I'm expected to hang with these guys. And then before I knew it, I started taking hits from these guys and, running around and doing all the physical conditioning, and it started strengthening my mind. And, I started becoming like, okay, all right, let's see what else they can throw at me. And I started taking the challenge on. I'm like, you know what? I want to make it a goal to start this year, my first year of football.
So look at this straight. You had never played before any sport, and you were like, I could be a starter. Mm-hmm. I could just do this.
I was like, I want it. I can do it. I can do it. And you know what?
You started.
Halfway through the year, during playoffs, they put me in. They replaced a guy that had been playing since 2nd grade.
Yeah, so in playoffs, they're like, now's the time to do it. Let's do it. Let's put in Matt. So what position did you play?
I played right guard.
Okay, so you're on the line. So playing on the line, you've always had discipline and knowing that you need to help the guy next to you.
Exactly.
So this has always been ingrained.
Protecting the QB, protecting the running back. It's just, it was the right position.
You are all the time. Since 6. This was the, no matter sports, the military, it's all been the same line. You're here to help protect others. So that you're just that kind of guy.
Yes.
And that's cool.
I'm very much into the helping people. I love helping people. And, it's just something I've always wanted to do, I guess you could say, being there for people, whether that was protecting them, like in sports, or, being there to help them study.
Right.
I was always there. Even if I'm not the most capable guy in that subject, I'll do what I can to help.
Right, because you'll do everything you've got. You'll give them everything you got.
Mm-hmm. And I expect nothing in return. It's because I want to do it. Mm-hmm. And starting that year, and it went on from that. Once I got to high school, I had to prove myself every step of the way because. Right. I'm a shorter than average guy. I'm only like 5'6", and I'm not the biggest guy, and then I'm playing on the line with guys that are like 6 feet tall, huge dudes. And and I had to work hard for it. And I believe that people have natural talent to do things, and I don't think I have an ounce of it. I just put in hard work to get where I've been.
I have a theory that everyone has an ability to play one sport, at least one sport naturally. It's just like finding that sport. Like you could be like a fantastic field hockey player, but you've never played field hockey, so that's not your sport. So I do believe I'm with you. I do believe people have natural talent at certain things, and it's just finding the one that's for you. So okay. So you played right guard. Did you start in high school?
I did.
Okay.
All 4 years.
All 4 years.
I ended up moving to right tackle because I'm faster than most people. And they wanted me to put there to protect the outside edge. And, my freshman year, I had to prove myself there, It's like they look at me and, instantly they start going, well, this guy's small. He can't really, there's no way he can put up with the guys on the line that are going to be there, And that's when I started hitting the gym and, working hard and, putting on the weight to do it. And that kind of sustained with me throughout all of high school. Just working hard, doing that work ethic, and making sure I keep my grades up because that's a big thing.
Stay on the team, you have to keep your grades up, yeah.
Exactly. That's how, you keep your starting spot.
Did you play varsity all 4 years or JV then varsity?
No, I did freshman my first year and then JV my sophomore, and they pulled me up for playoffs my JV year for varsity. And then I...
Varsity the rest?
Varsity rest of the time.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, let's get to question 3. Just to sum up, when did you become you? You're still becoming, but middle school is kind of when you start to lead you down that road, right? Question 3 is, who inspires you?
That's a really difficult one. I have a lot of role models in my life, just in my family, but for, I guess, outside my family that I guess more people could look at, David Goggins. And I don't know if you know who David Goggins is, or for anyone listening.
Who's David Goggins?
He is a guy who he joined the Air Force at first, and he went in and then did his time, got out, and then he gained a lot of weight. He was over 300 pounds, and he was working for a pest control business, making very little money. He was in a really bad spot in his life. And he started a family at a time when he was at his low, and he's just bad spot. And then he saw an advertisement to be a Navy SEAL.
So he was already in the military.
Got out,
gained a bunch of weight, just was having a rough go. And then saw an advertisement to be a Navy SEAL, and then got back in.
He decided that that's something he should try because he wants to get himself out of the rut. So he goes off and tries to get in shape, and his first time running, breaks down, starts crying. He feels like he can't do it. And then, he's sitting on his couch and he's like, you know what? Like, I got to get there, and I'm going to do this. And he starts pushing himself, and he calls it callousing his mind. Because he believes that our minds have this governor, like on cars, they have governor that limits how far or how fast you can go. And he believes that all humans have this thing like in their mind. When you're running, it sucks. You want to give up on mile. Not even finishing a mile. It sucks.
I'm not on mile anything. I want to give up.
Exactly.
Like 3 minutes in, I'm like, I think I'm good.
And he ignores it, and keeps going.
Okay, so he just pushes through it.
He pushes through it, and he sets that limit farther and farther, farther. He loses the weight, and enough to join the Navy. He joins the Navy, and on a SEAL contract, he goes through BUDS, and he fails.
What's BUDS?
It's the selection to become a Navy SEAL. You have to pass this rigorous course where they do nothing but beat you down physically and mentally for 3 to 6 months. Just nonstop all the time.
Then he failed. He failed that?
He failed it.
Okay.
He went through it 2 more times to finally pass it. He went through a total of 3 times to become a Navy SEAL. And that's where he stayed for 20 years. And then he got out. And he started doing ultra marathons, 200-mile marathons, and he broke the single day pull-up record of 4,030. He is someone who just takes the limit and erases it.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
He is such a big inspiration, especially for me, because I was completely overweight when I started my journey to even do the military, because when I got out of high school, I became lazy. I gained I was like over 230 pounds. I couldn't finish a mile, very much where David Goggins was at the start of his time. And I was like, here is this guy, I started getting insecure about my weight. I was like, why me? Why do I suck so bad? I didn't like myself. I'm like, how could I let myself get this far? And I found David Goggins, and I listened to his story about how he was over 300 pounds, and he became a Navy SEAL and does all these great ultra marathons. And I was like, if he can do it, then I can do it. Why can't I? Why can't I do it? And I started out getting on that track and just pushing myself every step of the way. Even if I couldn't finish it running, I would finish it. I'd find a way to finish it. And before you know it, I started doing a mile. I started losing 5 pounds. And I just kept going and going little by little. Next thing you know, I've lost probably around 55 pounds. I'm around 170 now.
Congrats.
And now I can crush 5 miles on these PT runs that we do for the Army before we go in. And, I'm in a way better spot. And, I definitely say, this is definitely the greatest I've felt in a long time. That's because good. I'm on the track of what I want to do, and I'm in the right mindset now.
You feel like you're in the best shape of your life.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah. David Goggins. That's a pretty inspiring story from that dude, because he got out and fell into just like a rut. Just like a rut. That's cool. Listen, I cannot run a mile. I mean, I probably could, but I don't want to. So
you definitely have to have a reason to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't excite me, but I definitely get it, especially doing these PT runs, and that's really cool that you went from not being able to do one to be able to crush these 5 mile ones with no problems.
And in this military thing, I've started finding out more personal reasons why I want to do it too. Because originally it was just to serve my country and help people, but now it's that. And now I want to challenge myself. I want to find out what I'm really made of, and and also test what kind of person am I. I've gone through a little adversity. Okay, being overweight, whatever, but that was all on me.
But even still, though, like it's no small feat, right? Because you are 18 years old, so that little adversity is major adversity. Because that's what your world is. That's what your world revolves around. So don't sell it short. You've broken through some hurdles. You've gotten here, so that's cool. That's good.
It's hard for me to see it as adversity when all these other people that you see on social media, or even David Goggins himself. He had health problems. It's like these guys, and he had a really bad childhood, even, to top on to his issues later in life. It's just these guys have had a real rough time. And, I was lucky to have parents who cared about me, who raised me to be who I am, to go out there and get it. And that's how you do it, And it's just, I feel lucky, if I hadn't found football, or, if I hadn't, found a reason why to do things, I wouldn't be in the spot I am today, and I'd probably still be stuck, at home doing nothing, and not having a plan in life. But I found that why, and now I'm going to go do it and see what I'm made of, and hopefully I'm a better person for it.
That's good. You mentioned that your grandparents also inspired you.
Correct.
Because they were former military as well.
Correct, and they grew up poor.
Okay.
My family grew up in a poor background. They lived on a railroad out in the middle of nowhere for a long time to even make a small scrap of money working for the railroad. My grandpa, it was my grandma's family. My grandpa, he grew up in a bad household, and he grew up in Colorado, so he was a little bit of a cowboy, and he would just walk away from home all the time, work for steel yards, making a little money here and there. And one day he got on his horse and rode from Colorado to Las Vegas.
Like legitimately a horse?
Legitimately a horse. This is back in the 1930s when this is still a thing,
Wasn't there cars though? I think
There
there were
was,
cars.
but they couldn't afford it. They just got out of the Great Depression, and they didn't have any money.
Right. So yeah, I guess that's so. He's like, all right, I'm getting out of here.
And then he met my grandma, and then they finally settled down in Las Vegas and got things going, and and that's they finally got a family going. That's where my dad's side of the family come in, and then even my grandparents on my mom's side. My grandma is from Japan. She's an immigrant. She came over here and she survived World War II. She's very inspiring too because they grew up poor as well because there wasn't much left after that war, and they got a lot of persecution and oppression from the Japanese because they grew up in Okinawa.
Okay.
And Okinawans are considered different from the mainland Japanese, so they had to escape Japan, and the Americans helped them along. And next thing you know, they managed to come to the States and get their citizenship.
Were they over there? What's your grandma over there during World War II?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she came here after.
She came here after.
So she didn't have to deal with like internment camps and all those
she wasn't.
Beautiful things that we were doing here.
Yeah.
She had her own persecution by the Japanese.
Much more serious persecution back in with the Japanese. They were terrible. They were terrible to their own people. Mm-hmm. And just hearing what they went through, all that adversity, it's insane. It's like, I can't believe my family managed to survive these things. It's crazy. And looking at them, looking up at them overcoming these obstacles and things like that, it's inspiring. It really is. And I'm hoping that I can even achieve a little bit of that, of overcoming things, because I feel like everyone, I guess, needs a little adversity.
Yeah.
Because it really builds character and moral compass. You see yourself going through these things, you're like, I don't want this to happen to other people. And you want to go out and help people and do the right thing. And I think it puts you in a better place in life. I really do. I think it makes you stronger.
Right. I agree. Adversity is what helps for the steel to sharpen. You know what I'm saying? Steel sharpens steel. And hard times make for rougher people, but people that are able to withstand in the future. So, all right. So those are the people that inspire you. Number 4, what was your moment? I know you're 18, and you may not feel like you've had your moment yet, but up to this point, what is your biggest achievement? What is your moment?
I'd say my biggest achievement was going from where I was in middle school. I was, again, I had issues with my weight, and at that time I wasn't, of course, everything's about the judgment in high school. Where do you rank among everybody? How popular you are. What's your friend group?
Man, I want to let you know that's for the rest of your life. That's not just high school, but for like everything after that. Is the same. So
I've just learned to ignore it. Yeah. But at that time, that was everything.
Yeah, it was everything.
It was everything. My status was everything. And at that time, I didn't have status. And it was, I guess you could say, it got me a little bit in a bad spot mentally, just because it's like, why do I suck so bad that people think I'm nothing? Why do people laugh at me? Why do people put me down? And it really, when I decided to play football and my friends encouraging me to do so and better myself, it really gave me this boost in that I needed. It was, my parents were there for me, and were, it was something I had to do on my own. I mean, yes, you can, coddle somebody and bring them along, but if they're not taken to it, then it's not going to happen.
What they're doing.
There's some things that you need to do on your own to better yourself. And that's where I found that, and I found a good bond within my football team. And I found a place where I felt like I belonged, where, I didn't get along with everybody, but we all had the same goal, and it's very much a military, feel. Everyone is different. Everyone has, different views on different things. Everyone has different personalities, but we all have one goal. Get that championship, and we're all working to get there. And that is what, even that pushed me to the military even more. I value, bonds with people. I feel like the bonds you create through adversity, like, football, our coaches would just beat down on us constantly with physical conditioning and everything. And, you go through it with those guys, and, you go through those hard times in games where you lose. You build a strong bond, and there's a couple guys that, I could call my brothers because we've gone through a lot together.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, throughout that, what was your moment then?
It was when I was sitting on the couch, and I just was just thinking, what am I doing with my life? I wanted to be in the military. I want to play football. I want to do all these things, but I'm here sitting on the couch doing nothing but eating and gaining weight. What is wrong with me? Like, what is going on with me? Like, I need to do something. And then I decided, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And, the next morning I went to the track and I started running.
So just like
that. I was done. I was fed up with it. I couldn't stand myself anymore.
So I had a similar moment like that. For me, it was after a breakup. Mm-hmm. I was sitting there, I was eating a pizza, and I was sad. And I remember watching, I don't know if you know Tyra Banks.
No, I don't.
So Tyra Banks, she's a model. She's older. She used to have a talk show. And I'm like sitting there watching this talk show during like daytime TV. This is probably about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was probably like 22. And I remember I had a similar moment. I was on the couch. I was like, what am I doing? Yeah. How did I get here? Mm-hmm. How did this happen? And I had a similar, I didn't start running. Mm-hmm. But like I put that away and I was like, I'm gonna stop crying about this girl. So I definitely relate to the on the couch realization of you saying, wait a minute.
Yeah. You detach and you start thinking, you're like, what am I doing to myself? Mm-hmm. It's like I have greater things I want to do, and I'm stuck. I'm doing
other
this
stuff.
Yeah.
What am I doing this for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I definitely get that.
It's definitely a wake up call, And
yeah.
I'm glad I had it, because if I didn't, I'd be in a really bad spot now.
Well, you could have had another wake up call, but I'm glad that was the one. Mm-hmm. So that was your moment. Just the moment you're sitting there, like, you know what? I ain't doing this anymore. Mm-hmm. You gotta be and changed it.
And I did have other moments where I was like, maybe I should. Maybe I should do it, and then I just ignore it because I was like, well, this feels good. I don't like running. I don't like doing physical activity. It sucks. And it's just like what David Goggins says. You just need to push through that voice telling you to sit there, do nothing. And and I just finally got fed up with it, and I was like, I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna go do it.
And then I fell back into that rut when I got out of high school. It's like I have no purpose. I have no obligations. I'm just gonna sit here and do nothing. And I forgot, it's just like kind of like, you get out of high school, you're like, okay, well, I'm done. And now what? And for me, it was the military, but it seemed like a far way off. And I was like, I could wait a little bit. I can wait a little bit for that. I don't have to do this right now. Mm-hmm. And then I just got back in there again, and then I had to finally wake myself up again. And I'm glad I did again there too. I'm just glad I had these little wake up calls to keep me going, and having that why I want to do this. It pushes you to do things.
And it keeps you motivated. Mm-hmm. So, all these things that have happened to you along the way, they've led you to the military, and you joining the Army. Mm-hmm. Question number 5 is, what's the one moment in your life you wish you could change? Is there any time where you wish you were like, what if I went this way as opposed to that way? Maybe, and I'm not talking about like you sit on the couch, but like you had this calling from you were 6. Was there any time where you were like, I'm going to ignore that call, do something else? Like, was there ever a time?
No.
Okay, so you never had that like kind of moment.
I never had a moment in my life where I wanted to do something else. It's just ingrained. That's what I want to do, and I've tried, being like, okay, well. I was like, well, I'll give it a try, I guess. I was like, let me think. I could do like a business degree or something like that. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm like, I don't want to go to school, right? Like, that's just not me. I just feel it's completely wrong. Like, it's just in my gut feeling, I feel like the military is the right thing to do.
So outside of the military, is there anything else you've ever you ever thought you could change? That if you had another opportunity, you would do something different?
Yes. I wish I would have started earlier, because I've had opportunities to start earlier as far as getting into shape and getting out there, right? Mm-hmm. I had plenty of opportunities before middle school, and even
before middle school, in like elementary, when you're like in 5th grade, you're like 12.
Yeah, I had opportunities to join teams. I could have gotten better shape then. I mean, if I would have been in better shape, I wouldn't have had all the issues that I'm having now. Mm-hmm. It would have deleted a lot of adversity, but part of me is like, I needed that.
You needed the adversity.
I needed it because I think it shaped me to who I am today. I think it matured me a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
And other things along the way, when I lost my grandfather, and that was a rough time for me because I was really close with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened when I was 8, so I didn't really have an understanding of loss, especially with I understood it. It's like, okay, yeah, death is a bad thing, but this happened to someone who's close to me, and I didn't know how to process
You're
that.
like, death is bad, but like, not to me. Mm-hmm. So like, it doesn't happen to us.
Like, it's a bad thing and it's sad, and and I was like, okay, yeah, it's that, but I never thought it would happen to someone as close
mm-hmm.
to me as my grandpa. He's kind of like a second father to me.
Okay.
And he raised me big time, and it was a deep thing that I had to get over for a while. And and I wish he would be here to see me go in the military, because I know he would have been proud of that. But part of me is like, I needed to learn what it's like to lose something, and I'm doing this for him. I want to get through it for him, and I know it's something he would be proud of, and I don't like to talk about it very much because it still gets to me.
Yeah, of course.
But I can talk about it now, because it's what's another thing that's driving me to get this done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that that type of situation, the loss, was able to, though you couldn't change it, you were able to utilize that to be a driving force for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you wish you could have stopped him from like dying or anything? Is there anything you could have done?
No.
Right? Because
it is cancer. It happens, and nothing you could have done to stop it. It's just it happens. It sucks, and you can't change it. And for a while, I wish I could have.
Mm-hmm.
Even
you wish you had some kind of like magic potion, or
because
like or something.
Being a kid, you're like, well, in the movies, you can bring people back, but it's like, no, it's final, and
mm-hmm.
that's it. And for a while, that got me down too for a little bit.
Yeah.
Living without my grandpa, that was a big one. But I finally, later on, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do all this for him. Attribute a lot of my success to, I wish you could have seen it, but, I'm doing it because that's what would have made him proud,
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 6. I know you're young, but what would you leave in a time capsule to let people know you are here? So, like, it's the year 2060.
Mm.
They open a time capsule. You're like, oh, Matt Fay left what?
What as far as like to remember me, or to know just to know I was here.
So yeah, to know that you were there. Like, obviously, you could like leave a sign that said Matt Fay was here. But, what like thing would you leave that they said that was definitely Matt's?
I would say a picture with me and my family.
Okay.
Because to me, my family is everything.
Okay.
Everything I do is based around my family.
So who's in this family photo?
It'd be my mom, me, my dad, my sister, pretty much everybody in my family, you know.
So like all your extended family,
Pretty much, you know, and all my immediate family, grandma, grandpa, all that stuff, and you know, everything I've done is to make my family proud, you know, and I would never do anything in my life to, you know, make them feel like disappointed. It makes me feel terrible if I have ever disappointed them. It would make me feel terrible because it's not what I'm out to do. You know, they raised me to go out there and be successful, and I feel like I'd be doing them a great disservice if I was to go out there and do nothing with everything they've given me. You know, and I really value family. I really do. More than I'd even say more than friendships. You know, they're there every step of the way for me. They taught me so much, and I have so much more to learn, but they've taught me a lot, and you know, I'm looking forward to making them even more proud when I become a soldier, you know, and that's becoming a surreal thing. You know, it's something I've looked forward to my whole life, and I finally get to go make my family proud and do what I was meant to do, and get it done, and you know, from there, be successful and make them even more proud. Be successful in the military. You know, for now, my goal is just to get there, because there's still a lot I have to go through, even though, you know, a lot of people do it. I want to be better than the average. And, you know, I want to strive for success.
Cool. That's cool. So that's what you would leave with the family photo, because you just want to make it proud. That's cool. This is great, by the way. You're doing a great job. This is very good stuff. Question 7. What mark do you want to leave on the world? So what I mean by that is, when you pass, we already know about the time capsule and what you left there. What words do you want people to say about you? What would they say about you?
I would say that I was never lazy. I did everything that I could to help people, and I never gave up. And you know what? If I die, you know, in the military and it was, you know, young or whatever, I've done enough to make it so that I don't want anyone to ever call me lazy. It's a thing that irks me now, because I've put in so much work, and I guess the thing that used to get me when I was younger was being called lazy, because I wanted to be a hard worker, you know, and I've put in so much hard work, and it's just, I want to strive to show people that I care. I guess that's what you could say, you know, to show people that I care. And I don't want anyone to ever say that I was a egotistical person. Okay. I don't like egotistical people. I feel like people who are all about themselves I don't like that. You know, I want to be remembered as selfless, you know, doing whatever I could to help at every corner.
And from what it sounds like, these things are the things people would say about you. From the thing, like, I mean, you wanting to join the military for free. It's a very selfless act.
I know it sounds crazy, but I'm being really genuine I say that.
I definitely, I feel the genuine vibes from you. I feel it, the honesty. And so I think people would say you're selfless from this last, 40 minutes or so. I feel like you're a very family-oriented guy. You're very kind. You are thoughtful. And you are, like, considerate, like you said. So I think people would say those words about you. Mm-hmm. And I think if those are the words you want them to say, I think you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job.
And I know I said a lot to be remembered about, but I guess that's what. But the one thing I would say was that I was a good person. That is the main thing. I want to be remembered as a good person, because it's when, you know, you see all these people on the news, and you know, they're making the world the worst place than it is, and it's like, why? Why? Like, why would you want to do any of that? You know, like all these people, you know, all these wars that have been started in history, or, you know, doing terrible things to people. It's like, why would anyone want to be remembered that way?
Right.
You know, and it kind of shapes me to be like, well, I need to be a person who stands up. You know, if I can be a soldier and, you know, stand up to these people that cause harm in, you know, other places, then that's what I want to do.
That's good. Question 8. This is almost over, almost at the end. Question 8. What's the one thing you think we should know as the human race? So, we have like problems in the world.
So many.
So many. If there was an alien race that came and like beamed up Matt Fay to answer some questions about Earth, what are you telling them to stop them from vaporizing the world?
Well, I guess to say is we're all human, right? Bottom line, doesn't matter what, you know, gender you identify as, you know, what race you are, none of that matters. What you believe in, opinions, none of that matters. At the core of everything, what kind of person are you? Are you a person who cares for others, or are you a person who only cares about yourself? And what are you willing to do to get those things for other people? And what are you doing, you know, good or bad, to care for yourself? I believe that people need to be judged, quoting Martin Luther King here, by the content of the character, not by their skin or their beliefs. And you know what? It gets lost. You know, we lose that view. And I think people need to learn how to detach from that.
Okay.
Detach from that emotional side that makes you so angry that someone views something different than you. At the core of it, we're all the same. We're all human. We just manage to have different beliefs. And I think if people learned how to have conversations like me and you are having, you know, getting to know each other better, getting to know why we stand on those sides, I think it would make the place way better. And, you know, and if people learn to understand that, then, you know, I think the human race would be way better off. Because we just let these selfish emotions get in the way. And, you know, we don't look at logic. We don't look at facts. We don't go, hey, why do you feel this way? We just immediately start judging that person. For what reason? Other than you don't disagree with them. Why are you pushing your beliefs on somebody? I don't agree with that. You know, let's sit down, have a conversation. And then at the end of the day, if we disagree with each other, let's go home and just act.
Like, okay.
Okay, we disagree. We agree to disagree. You know? Why can't we do that?
And I'm with you. I feel like a lot of the conflicts can be solved. I truly do believe that most conflicts can be solved by just knowing someone and like their name. I feel like there's less conflicts if you just know someone's name. Because it gives you that sense of feeling that you know this person. You still don't know them, but it makes you feel like you kind of at least are starting.
It humanizes them, right? You can look at someone and be like, well, that guy seems weird.
Yeah, but then you can't say, Steven seems like, once you know his name, you're like, that Steven guy seems weird. I know Steven now. I know who he is. He's a person now.
Yeah.
So you're right.
You can still view him as weird, but it's not as
intense.
Like closed off.
Yeah.
I think you really start to close off people when you start judging without knowing who that person is. You know, and I'm not saying that it's possible to know every single person.
Of course.
But if everyone would do it, it would spread all over the place. And people would be doing it to everyone they come into contact with.
And it would make you more human, and it would remind us that we all...
I think we generalize too much. We generalize way too much. And, you know, if we learn to individualize, I think it would be way better off, you know? We need to learn why people view things the way they do. Rather than... We need more knowledge, I guess you could say, rather than emotion. I mean, emotion is good, but it shouldn't be the sole reason that you do things.
I agree. I'm a logic-based kind of guy, so I understand what you mean by us needing to put less emotion into things and take the time and get to know the people as people. Last question. Then I'm gonna let you get up out of here. Though you're still growing, what do you want to be when you grow up?
A good person. And, going through everything that I go through, and it's all striving to be one thing, and that's to know that at the end of the day, my last day on this earth, that I was a good person. And I never did anything to, negatively affect somebody. That is not what I'm out to do. And if I ever do, or if that ever happens, I'm going to look for ways to fix it. I guess I can't stand the fact knowing that, I could have helped somebody and I didn't. It bothers me. It really does. And I don't know why I feel that way, but I've always felt that way. Being obligated to feel like I'm obligated to join the military at 6. It's just always been a thing with me, and it's like it was what I was meant to do, was to be a good person.
Right.
And that's what I've always strived to be, a good person.
Well, Matt, if you're at the end of the day, your life goal is to be a good person, I think you're well on your way, my friend. I can feel it. I see it. I think it's cool. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Those are my 9 questions. Do you have any questions for me?
How'd I do?
You did great, man. Like, listen, your story resonates throughout. The fact that I feel like I know you now. You are joining the military because ultimately helping people is who you are. It's what you do. I am assuming you're going to probably go career.
Yeah, I am planning to do a career.
Because that way you could touch to the most amount of people. From your family, from where they came from to where they are now, I feel who you are. I see it, I hear it, and it's amazing. You did a fantastic job because you were authentically you. So thank you for taking the time and talking to me.
Thank you for having me on, and I wish, if anyone who hears this, I really wish they take this to heart and go out and have a conversation with somebody. Just go out and have a conversation. Learn more about somebody. Learn why, they believe in what they believe. Get out there and talk to people. Because ultimately, we're not going to get anywhere as the human race if we don't talk to people. And I think that's what's wrong with what in the state of world that we are in today. We don't talk to people anymore. We use social media, we watch the news, and that's all we go off of. And we don't go out there and talk to people. That's all we need to do.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Do you have anything you want an Instagram? You have an Instagram you want to promote?
No, no social media like that. Okay.
Thank you for having us. You can definitely check out the 9 Questions podcast on YouTube. We're on everywhere there's podcasts are. Rate, review, 5 stars, everything like that. Matt, this has been a very refreshing conversation. Matt Fay, it was great talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.